Self by Becca Franco, Chloe Engel, and Lily Stitcha. Oh, and also Ali Schroth. Sorry my name isn't on there. But here's our project anyways.
Major philosophers. Jean-Paul believed that the self always lies in the future. Ralph Waldo, American transcendentalist. Gilbert Ryle, philosophical behaviorism. Jean Razou believed humans were naturally good until society corrupted them. Adam Smith, father of capitalism. Martin says that we are a part of a community and learn how to be individual. Karl Marx, one of the leading economic theorists of all time. The essential self. The essential self has been known as the set of characteristics that defines a particular person. The essential self has also been known as the soul or the real self. Other philosophers say that the real self is the conscious self, that is, the self that is aware of itself. But there is also suggestion that the self is not an individual entirely at all, but rather the product of an entire society. Self as body and self as consciousness. Self-identity, particularly the way a person, he or she, characterizes his or her essential self as a human or more thought as man or woman. Thinking self, also known as the self that is aware. Sameness of self, the sameness of a rational being, and as far as this consciousness can be extended backwards to any past action or thought, so far reaches the identity of the person. Passionate self from a concluding unscientific. The Danish philosopher Kierkegaard defined the self as the passions. The self as a problem. Who am I? The answer to this question is ourself. Possible answer, nothing yet, still in process. Jean-Paul believes the self always lies in the future, what we aim for. There is no finished self. Transcendence, the self is defined not by the facts about us, but by what we make and continue to make of these facts. We can always transcend the facts that we are true. True self. There is no real self other than the self that we make for ourselves. We cannot make certain facts about ourselves untrue, but we can make of them what we want. True self is what each of us chooses for ourselves, who we want to be. Can never fully be achieved. We constantly change our minds. Authentic self. The genuine individual self-identity to be distinguished from the inauthentic public identity. Bad faith. Bad faith. A person's refusal to accept himself or herself, not accepting the facts that are true about you, accepting the facts about you as conclusive about your identity. Includes trying to excuse yourself from responsibility for what you are by pretending your life is defined by your facticity instead of trying to change it. No self, many selves. David Hume says the concept of self can't be related to something encountered in an experience. Buddhism believes seeing through the illusion of the individual self is the highest act of enlightenment. Hegel rejected the emphasis on the personal individual self. Self-identity is a universal and universal self-identity. Many selves. There are selves, but not one self per person. We are different selves in different situations, hundreds of different layers. Buddhism, self-realization is the recognition of ourselves as part of something greater than ourselves. Hesse's view, self-realization is the recognition and living out of all the selves within ourselves. The mind-body problem, the identification or the location of the self-consciousness as opposed to the identification of the self with your physical body. Solutions to the mind-body problem. 1. Mind and body do interact. 3. There are no mental events. 4. There are no physical events. 5. Mental events and physical events are the same. Behaviorism. Various patterns of behavior, both the view that mind and body interact and the view that they do not seem to cause paradoxes. Modern behaviorists cannot deny that mental events exist. Dualists, mental events and physical events happen separately. Identity theory, specific mental events that are exactly correlated with specific brain events. Mental events that brain process are the same thing. They have different properties and deserve different descriptions. Solves the mind-body problem. Functionalism. Mental activity consists of certain functions of the brain. There is nothing necessarily unique about the brain. The brain is special because it's such a marvelous piece of machinery. It's the function that counts. The egocentric predicament. Individual self is at the center of our experiences. Intolerable idea that we cannot get beyond our own self to know the existence of others. The self as social. Philosophers Aristotle, Rousseau, Marx, and Heidegger. Man is by nature a social animal. Anyone who is unable to love a common life or who is self-sufficient that he has no need to do so is no member of society, by Aristotle. Overall, the image we have ourselves as individuals is an image that we have been taught collectively. Capitalism and assumptions of it is central to much of our thinking as individuals. In early Christianity, with its emphasis on the individual soul, there was a lot of emphasis put on the spiritual community within one's soul.